I'm going to show another part 3. I'm adding that to make my quilt wider. It was 48 wide, now it's 58 and a half wide. So now I'm making it longer. Well, I'm just showing that you can put a cornerstone on it. You can either put the big black like this, or I could have put this cornerstone clear down here, but I don't think it would have stood up as well as it does in the black. And then once again, this is 5.5 inches. The back border is 6 inches. And I've taken the time to go ahead and sew them on to the quilt that is now 58 wide. I don't know the length yet. I didn't forgot to measure it. So now I have to put the batting in. And it's like, what I do? Leave one piece behind? Of course. So let's see if I have enough. And you can use your extra batting. You can, what we call Franken batting it together. And let's see. Is that enough to make it to the end? Yes. So I just make sure the two sides of the batting, that's one side and that's the other side. One's dimpled, one's smooth. There's a reason for it. So I'm going to put it on zigzag, long stitch, and wide stitch. So I have mine on 3x6. And you just sandwich the two together. Start the needle in the down position. That way it doesn't unthread it. And then when you zigzag, it's just like we say, Frankenbatting. Just putting those stitches that Frankenstein has. And with it being done with the black, it'll show up very well for you. And it's just like what we're doing. We made Frankenbatting. See, the stitches makes it Frankenbatting. So now I'm going to take these strips. I don't know which is right and wrong. It's like they tell you. I think it's smooth side up, rough side down. And that's what I'm doing. Now these are going to be the same thing. They're going to be married onto this. But I just wanted to show you that you can do cornerstones. You can do, the fancy corners. You don't have to just make something simple. You can get carried away. And being it's on that zigzag, all I have to do is get these two lined up. And it's going to zigzag onto the quilt because all the pieces are away from the outside edge. I haven't pressed them yet. But some people say they can't hear. I didn't do the measurements. All your measurements are going to be different. This is find the ruler. This was 5 3/4. This one was. I cut the backing piece. It's 6.5. It's like the batting. I cut at 6 because this is now under the 6-inch measurement. I'd rather have a little bit. But it's like If you make a quilt that's too small and you want to make it bigger, this is one way you can do it. Because it's already made it 10 inches wider, 10 inches longer, which makes for a great flat quilt. So it's going to be 58 by something. It's like, I can't remember if I just did the same exact as the pattern said, which I usually don't, because I like my quilts to be a little bit wider, a little bit longer. Can't remember if the pattern was just for a throw, but I wanted to do something to make it bigger. And I've used Quilt As You Go before, and I just want to continue and to share it out there, because it's like every once in a while you do make a quilt that you go, oh, I wish it was just this much wider. It's like the batting I use is warm and natural, needled, but most of my batting I use has 8 to 10 inch quilting space that I don't have to get closer than. And a lot of the quilt batting is 2.5, and there's 4.5. But by going back and top stitching on this 2-inch out, that leaves me only a 3.5 out here when it's all done and over with. And it's secured by the binding and the top stitching of these borders. So it's well secured. There shouldn't be any issues. When you're marrying them together here, just make sure you don't go over your stitch line, because every once in a while it would show up out in the other stuff. Untwist this a little. Move this completely before I knock it off the table. Of course, the chair was rolling on the quilt. No wonder it wasn't moving. But I've rewatched the videos. I hear everything perfectly fine. I don't know if you have issues. I'm sorry if I didn't give the instructions, because it's like every quilt's going to be different. Every maker is going to be a little different. It's how to do the technique. You can add even multiple borders if you want to. You can do a 2-inch or 3-inch, and then you can do a 5-inch, all in the same process. It's just different processes. If you don't want to go back and stitch in between, then make sure that you do the two. And I did it without cutting the batting. I put the batting at the full and the backing at the full. But when I add the next border on as Quilt As You Go, it catches it all. So there's different ways to do it. I wish the world was big enough to just all of us go in one big room and be taught how to do these things. But no, it's one person at a time, one quilt at a time, because the needs are all different. And when you have different needs, different quilts, different needs, different people, different, and you might need one-on-one. It's like you just have to find someone that could possibly help you. And that good old world that we live in, there are some people, all they want to do is charge, 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 instead of teach and help. I was always told to help. share the knowledge, share the technique, share everything. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off, kind of. It's going to be a little bit long, but, you know, 6 inches off is 6 inches off. And then this is kind of a refresher course. Or if someone watches 1 and 2 and they forget and they watch 3, well, 3 is going to show you everything that you kind of got showed in number 1 and 2. It's just a refresher. And see, now this is married on. It's all stuck. There's the back border. There's the front border. I have to take it out in the other room and press it because I have no room here. So I'll pause and I'll be right back. Okay, I went and pressed the pieces up. I pressed the back up and the front border up. Now that's all nice and flat. I'm going to do my top stitching over here. I went and seen my measurement, which is 5 and 5/8 is from this edge up to here. Is about the straight. It's like I could go 5 1/2 just to make it even, but it's like I always go for the best I can. But all I did was I pressed the back up first, and then I turned it over and pressed all the front. And enlarge, take it off of zigzag. I put it on a big stitch, 4. Of course, I forgot to make sure the thread needle was going down. I don't want to fix it. And then I just top stitch down out 1/8 of an inch off the outside, or about where that line is. That line's where I'm going to trim. So I marked it in a few spots just so it was there and ready. So I have some place to aim for. Here, that's under like it's supposed to be. This is the time. It's like the little thing that have to be finagled and moved, and but just just a little refresher. It's like on the, you think of something each time, and then it's like, okay, I'll tell it on the next one. But I did little marks every now and then. That I'm gonna go out and trim it at that 5 5/8. I moved the pop so I could press. Make sure all the pieces sit down all nice and neat. Remove the pins. Found the mark. Just keep shooting for the mark. Slow and steady wins the race is what I always say. In some of these colors you can mark and it's like, huh, I marked it? Because there's so many colors in this one. If I would have had my white marker out here, would have worked good for putting white on the black. put it down flat. It does have a tendency because things walk back and forth. At the bottom, feed dog might pick up faster than the top's moving. It's like, so just watch ahead. If you get a little, it happens on everything we do, unfortunately. It's like against my warm lap, my marks disappeared. So take time to. Sometimes you just don't know. 5 3/8. It's right out there at the end. Maybe that's why it's not there. That's out at the end of this one. I'll just keep 1/8 inch within the end. Take the pin out of my hand. And then this batting, it's like when I press this one to this one side of the batting, it just clinged right to it. It's like it was self-adhesive and it's not. It's not iron-on inner batting. I've never purchased any of that. It's warm and natural is what this is. And then it's like when I get down here to the end, you just square up your corners. Trim off this whole side. I trimmed that side off already. And then you repeat on the bottom side. I wish, if you have any questions, I guess you can put them in the comments. And then I could try to address them at a later time. I should do a whole one with just a placemat, little tiny square. I did that once. But to see it onto a bigger quilt is like, oh, you can. It's like, every once in a while I just make my quilt the wrong size. Regret afterwards. And ended up making it wider and longer after the fact. I think it's in one of those bags up there. I'm looking over there. Oh, it could be that one. No. It's like, I don't know which one it is. And yes, I moved my cardboard from over the closet. It's over the scrapbooking compared to yesterday's. And see, now I just want to, I can draw a line here to top stitch that down. Or I can just trim it off because it won't be long before I start putting the batting on or binding on. But the front and the back. Now I'm going. You watched yesterday. I top stitched 1/8 in on each side of this black. I don't think I need to do that on camera again. I'm not sure. It's like, it's just one of those. Top stitching is top stitching. Stop. I'll start it and then I'll discontinue the video. But I'll start it and see if I can pause it again. I don't know how many times they let you pause something. But I always use 2 hands to help push, you know, because you want your stitches to stay regular. You could try the walking foot. I've never had any difference. It's like me doing this way or doing the other way. It takes a couple hours to download these. I mean, hours. If I did live, it's instant. It just, that's the way it is. So if you ever want to do a YouTube or a video, live goes fast and downloading a recorded takes like forever. It said it was going to take 2 hours, but I don't know where their clock is. Last night I think it took almost 4. You have to keep your browser awake and open. It does just keep your browser open, but you have to keep it awake too. So I ended up putting my laptop beside me and then kept wiggling the mouse, kept it awake, because you cannot close it until it's fully uploaded. That's why you see people, some people do live, some people prefer to just record like this. Doing the live, you get to interact with the people, and that's fun too. But when this is all done, I'll definitely, like I said, wash it with a color catcher. Because there's so many dyes in here already. And I don't know how they're going to react. And if I remember, I'll save the color catcher. Sometimes it's like, what was I supposed to do? And it's too late. It's in the garbage, out to the dump. But almost down to the end here. I don't recommend black on black. It's like for piece quilting, when I use black, I will use charcoal thread. But when you top stitch, it's like, do you want to top stitch in a color? Charcoal? Gray? No, I want it top stitched in black. So no matter what, I have to do this black on black. It's not my favorite. It's just what looks good with this quilt. It's like the sashing I'm doing on one of my quilts is purple. Another quilt is yellow. But when it gets long armed, it's all just one thread. This top stitching is like securing the batting, kind of like a top, like long arming would. So I'm gonna pause the camera. When it comes back, I'll have my corners squared. Okay, I'm back from squaring it up. There's the corner squared up. The backs is top stitched. It's like what I have left to do now is put this on the other end, and then it's binding time. Any questions or suggestions or whatever, leave them in the comments. If it's a bad comment that I don't think is justified, I know how to delete. But thank you for watching, and have fun quilting. This now, it went from a 48 by 78 to a 58 plus by 88. It's almost 59 by 88. So close. He's almost 6 foot tall. So he'll appreciate the extra length by everybody.